Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Would You Read It Challenge video, technically for July 2024, even though it's going to be going up in August. We're running a little late here, but what can we do? So, the Would You Read It Challenge was a book tag brought to BookTube by @2Brody, who I will link down below. The purpose of the original tag was to pick a scattering of books and read the first sentence of each book and then ask your audience if they'd like to continue on with said book. I thought that one sentence is just too small to get, a feel of the story. So I, expanded it to a few paragraphs, to a page, that sort of thing. And I have been playing now for several months with old ballots of the BookTube Prize. So the BookTube Prize was started by Robert Sheard back in 2019, and the purpose is to bring together literary creators on the internet to judge the best in literary fiction and nonfiction that was published in the US the year before. So we are currently judging 2023 releases for the 2024 BookTube Prize. But we're not really supposed to be talking about those books, well, especially when you're judging them so that you don't, influence other judges. And technically, I am not judging right now. We're in the semifinals, but for more fun, I thought I'd go back to a ballot from yesteryear and finally give all of those books a try, well, at least the beginnings of them. And going sequentially, I am up to the 2021 BookTube Prize Octafinals Group D. I'm just going to the very first long lists of fiction every year for this project. So of these 6 books, I have actually already read one of them, not for the prize, but for myself, because I like the author, and then the other 5 books are all new to me, so it'll be fun to explore them all together. And without further ado, let's get into it. I'll go ahead and read all of the beginnings in a row and then jump back and discuss them all with you, starting with Book 1. This story will save your life. When Mental was alive, he was a boss man with 18 or 20 children working for him, and he almost never raised his hand against any of them. Every week he gave them 5 stars to split between themselves, or packs of gems, and he made them invisible to police and the evangelist types who wanted to salvage them from the streets, and the men who watched them with hungry eyes as the children hurtled down railway tracks, gathering up plastic water bottles before a train could ram into them. Mental didn't mind if his ragpicker boys gave him 5 Bisleri bottles instead of 50, or if he caught them outside of the cinema when they should have been working, wearing their best clothes or standing in a queue for a first day first show ticket they couldn't even afford. But he turned on them the days they showed up with their noses red, their words mixing together like blood and water, their eyes swollen like full moons of sniffling whitener. Then Mental stubbed out his gold-flake kings on their wrists or shoulders, and he called it a waste of a good cigarette. And that was from Gin Patrol on the Purple Line by Deepa Anapara. Book 2. In the morning, the one who is mostly enlightened comes in. There are stages, and she is the second to last, she thinks. The stage can be described only by a Japanese word. Bucket of black paint, it means. I spend some time pulling books for the doomed adjunct. He has been working on his dissertation for 11 years. I give him reams of copy paper, binder clips and pens. He is writing about a philosopher I have never heard of. He is minor, but instrumental, he told me. Minor, but instrumental. But last night his wife put a piece of paper on the fridge. Is what you're doing now making money? It said. And that was from Weather by Jenny Othel. Book 3. You have to wonder what goes through the mind of a man like Micah Mortimer. He lives alone. He keeps to himself. His routine is etched in stone. At 7:15 every morning, you see him out on his run. Along about 10 or 10:30, he slaps the magnetic Tech Hermit sign onto the roof of his Kia. The times he leaves on his calls will vary, but not a day, it seems, to go by without several clients requiring his services. Afternoons, he can be spotted working around the apartment building. He moonlights as the super. He'll be sweeping up the walk or shaking out the mat or conferring with the plumber. Monday nights, before trash day, he hauls the garbage bins into the alley. Wednesday nights, the recycling bins. At 10 p.m. or so, 3 squinty windows behind the foundation plantings go dark. His apartment is in the basement. It's probably not very cheery. He's a tall, bony man in his early 40s with not so good posture, head lunging slightly forward, shoulders slightly hunched. Jet black hair, but when he neglects to shave for a day, his whiskers have started coming in gray. Blue eyes, heavy eyebrows, hollows in his cheeks. A clamped-looking mouth. Unvarying outfit of jeans and a t-shirt or sweatshirt, depending on the season, with a partially erased-looking brown leather jacket when it's really cold. Scuffed round-toed shoes that seem humble, like a schoolboy's shoes. Even his running shoes are plain, old dirty white sneakers, none of the fluorescent stripes and gel-filled soles that most of the runners favor. And his shorts are knee-length denim cutoffs. And that was from Redhead by the Side of the Road by Ann Tyler. Book 4. People ask me, what was she like? And I try to figure out if they mean as a normal person. What was she like in her slippers, eating toast and marmalade? Or what was she like as a mother? Or what was she like as an actress? We did not use the word star. Mostly, though, they mean what was she like before she went crazy, as if their own mother might turn overnight like a bottle of milk left out of the fridge. Or they themselves might be secretly askew. Something happens as they talk to me. I am used to it now. It works in them slowly, a growing wonder, as though recognizing an old flame after many years. You have her eyes, they say. People loved her, strangers, I mean. I saw them looking at her and nodding as though they failed to hear a single word she said. And yes, I have her eyes. At least I have the same color eyes as my mother, a hazel that, in her case, people like to call green. Indeed, whole paragraphs were penned about the bog and the field when journalists looked into my mother's eyes. And we have the same way of blinking, slow and fond, as though thinking of something very beautiful. And that was from Actress by Anne Enright. Book 5. Vincent in the Ocean. December 2018. 1. Begin at the end, plummeting down the side of the ship in the storm's wild darkness, breath gone with the shock of falling, my camera flying away in the rain. 2. Sweep me up, word scrawled on a window when I was 13 years old. I stepped back and let the marker drop from my hand, and I still remember the exuberance of the moment, that feeling in my chest like light glinting on crushed glass. 3. Have I risen to the surface? The cold is annihilating. The cold is all there is. 4. A strange memory, standing at the shore of Cayette when I was 13 years old, my brand new video camera cool and strange in my hands, filming the waves in 5-minute intervals. And as I am filming, I hear my own voice whispering, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. Although, where is home if not there? And that was from The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. And finally, Book 6. Betty. Betty! Betty! He didn't need to shout. I was already behind the car, opening the trunk to find the lunch cooler. I took it out carefully, along with his newspaper and jacket. Sunil stood waiting as I walked past the driver's door. His swift, sharp kick in my shin was half expected. Slow, coach. You can't come when I call you? What, you ugly and deaf? Upstairs I rushed to heat up his food. He was already stinking of rum, but the first thing he did was get a fat glass open and a bottle of white oak. Solo was in front of the TV. Hey, boy, your father reach home and you can't say good evening? Hello. Run and bring me my slippers, boy. A man work hard whole week and I come home and have to ask people for my fucking slippers? I have a good mind to beat your ass today. Before Solo could get up, I ran for the slippers. I ask you for any slippers? Make the boy get up for a change. All he does is sit down in front of the TV. And that was from Love After Love by Ingrid Prasad. Okay, well, I'll just say the one book that I've actually read before and then maybe just go from the beginning and discuss what I think of these. I've read The Glass Hotel before because, I love Station 11 very much, and this was the book she wrote right after Station 11. And I've in fact read all of Emily St. John Mandel's books. I've made a couple of booktube videos about them, in fact, and you can see some of the themes in them, the things that really touch her. In a way, I feel like Station 11 is her favorite theme writ large, because in a lot of her books, it's about a woman who like goes on a bit of a remarkable journey, like maybe they marry someone famous, but then they disappear. And Station 11 is kind of like time itself disappearing, or, the modern world disappearing. But in this, Vincent is the woman who, at the very beginning, we see her falling off of a boat, and nobody knows what happens to her. But throughout the book, she has a pretty fascinating life, and she's a character who I think is meant to be a little bit mysterious, but she does get caught up marrying a man who runs a Ponzi scheme. And so that's her life for a little while. And he's a very famous man, before he proverbially goes down. This, in a way, I feel like this beginning is a little too style over substance for me with the numbering and everything, but I'm always going to give Emily St. John Mandel a try. And I like this book. I mean, it's not Station 11, but I like it. And I hear that maybe the people who adapted Station 11 for HBO might next go to this book. So I'll have to see if I see any trailers coming up or anything. Okay, then moving back up to Gin Patrol on the Purple Line. I guess, in a way, like you can get some, Fagin from Oliver Twist vibes about like a man who sort of has a band of boys and rag picker pickpockets, although I think here we're just focusing on gathering, bottles from the train tracks. And you see how he kind of like forgives them for some things, but I guess he's, toxic in other ways. Like if, they've been, beat up or something, he'll, punish them, but anything else, he kind of gives them free rein. So I don't know, it's, interesting. We're starting with like a little bit of a character description of someone that we don't know, but I think we definitely get a picture of him as, the mob boss. So, I mean, they call him the boss man in the first line. So, I mean, that's curious enough. I mean, I guess it makes me think that the rest of the book will be about this group of ragpicker boys, I guess. And then book two, I don't think is Weather by Jenny Awful, and it's a little too fragmented for me. Like it starts describing a stage, I guess, for theatrical stage, and then we move to an first person narrator talking about being an assistant for an adjunct who's doing his dissertation. And I mean, I feel like that interests me personally just because I have a history in academia, but other than that, it just feels random and unimportant. So I don't know, it didn't necessarily grab me except like for external reasons. And then book three brings us to Ann Tyler, and I've read a couple of Ann Tyler's books. They're set in Baltimore, and so I thought I should give her a try, and I kind of enjoyed them, and then I kind of like stepped away from her. She's ridiculously prolific. And this is okay, although, it's again another description of a person, an interesting way to start out another story of this man who seems to work and live in an apartment complex, and then he also does tech support for people, like on call, and he's in his 40s, and I feel for his hair going gray. But at the same time, by the end of it, I'm wondering who is speaking, and it feels like they're spying on him a lot because he lives in the basement. So I don't know. I'm wondering if we're getting a little too close for comfort here. And it's weird too because this is such an outsider perspective. I mean, because this can't be the main character, or if it is, we don't know him very well yet, or we only know a little bit, like his outside life. We don't know anything about his interiority. But I appreciate that he just, so far seems like a humble man with a humble life. But I don't know. At the same time, I'm wondering, like, how is this the center of the story? Doesn't seem like it would be the redhead at the side of the road, but who knows? And then book four might be my favorite, Actress by Anne Enright. Maybe it's something that's immediately the most, personal, because this narrator is talking about her mother and how other people relate to her mother and how she relates to her mother. And we get so much information about her mother, that she was a star, that she was a mother, of course, and that she went crazy. So, there's a lot of intrigue in here about who is this person and what type of life would the narrator have had with her. And we get a little bit of a sense of that relationship, or how this woman, is maybe relating to her mother. We're starting, I guess, a little more distant because it's about other strangers, like, asking her questions. But I don't know, I feel to me like that's an entryway into then getting into something a little more personal, like it's a tease because they only know so much about her. And, it's intriguing. What can I say to think about, what happens to famous people who go a bit crazy and why that happens and what that does to their families. It's just, it's an automatic dramatic hook. Uh, and finally, book 6 is Love After Love, and this is also intriguing and also very personal and all immediately very up close and personal about an abusive relationship. It seems like an abusive marriage. To a certain degree, I feel like, I don't know, I'm going back and forth on this, that Sunil is like so stereotypically abusive, but at the same time, I mean, it's not unrealistic, is it? Like, it's somebody who, like, is always demanding and thin-skinned and, takes any moment he can to, demand things of people and then, abuse them physically and emotionally. I especially do like the way he goes after his son. And like first he has to make sure the son actually acknowledges him because he has to be the center of attention, of course. And then he's demanding something from the son and putting the son down. And even when the wife, runs to get it, he's always unhappy. He always has to, be hurting people and be the center of attention. I mean, so this all feels very rote and predictable, but it's, a type of relationship that people get stuck in. And it feels like very much our narrator is stuck in this relationship right now, and she's running and she's, is not finding, it seems like at the very beginning of the story, a way out of the relationship. I'll certainly hope as time goes on that she would. But yeah, I mean, it does also, intrigue me. There's just an automatic an automatic sympathy, empathy, even for the protagonist. And that about covers it for me now. I'd love to hear from you about your thoughts about any of these books, or if you've read any of these books, what you might think about them. I will leave their Goodreads pages down below, and also my own personal Goodreads review for The Glass Hotel. And as for when you'll see me next, by the time this video goes up live, Robert will have posted the official finals announcement for the BookTube prize, and that also means my sabbatical will be over, and I'll be back as an official judge again, which is very exciting, and I feel like I should, hop on the train early and put out a TBR video. I'll probably be judging nonfiction, I'll have to see, and I'll give my thoughts about the books on my ballot, the preliminary thoughts before I start reading, so stay tuned for that. And if you did judge for the semifinals these past couple of months, I hope you enjoyed the books and can't wait to hear more of your thoughts now that you'll be allowed to post them. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.